Welcome to Storytime with Stuttering John. As you can tell, I'm very much in the holiday spirit, and so very ready to read one of my favorite holiday books, When the Dabbler Shit Christmas by Dr. Steve. Every Pooh down in Pooville loved Christmas, but the Dabbler who lived on top of Pooville did not. The Dabbler hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Nobody likes him, and it's for good reason. It could be his looks, such a horrible sight. It could be his smell and refusal to wipe. But I think the most likely reason of all, when he uses the bathroom, he shits on the wall. But whatever the reason, if he could, he would sue. Another lonely Christmas Eve, hating the Poos, drinking down a can of Coors, and then drooling on the ground, thinking how to shit on all the people in town. For he knew every Pooh down in Pooville beneath were laying in bed without shit in their sheets. They wiped themselves clean, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, and almost out of beer. Then he grabbed his guitar, his shit fingers strumming. He sang about Christmas and all the shit that was coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Pooh girls and boys would clean themselves early and not shit on their toys. Then the Poohs young and old would sit down to eat. The Dabbler was never invited because of the smell of his feet. They would feast on poo-poo pudding and poo-poo a la carte. It reminded the Dabbler of the smell of his farts. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Pooh down in Pooville would take shits, big and small, would stand close together, and no one is hitting. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Poohs would start shitting. And the more the Dabbler thought of these Pooh Christmas twits, the more the Dabbler thought, I must stop this bullshit. All of these haters that I have now, I must stop their Pooh Christmas. But how? Then the Dabbler got an idea. An awful idea. The Dabbler remembered his last diarrhea. I know just what to do, he said with phlegm in his throat. I'll dress up like Santa and fool this town full of dolts. As his mouth drooled and his nose ran, he plotted his scheme for the Pooh Christmas scam. All I need is a beer. The Dabbler looked around. But since money was tight, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Dabbler? No. The Dabbler simply said, if I can't buy a beer, I'll just steal some instead. Then the Dabbler ripped ass, and he started down towards the homes where the Poohs lay shits in their town. All their windows were dark. The smell of shit filled the air. All the Poohs were sleeping, but the Dabbler didn't care. This is stop number one, the old Dabbler hissed. And he climbed to the roof. Then he let out a piss. Then he slid down the chimney. He's older and flabbier. But if Santa could do it, then so can the Dabbler. He made it inside after stubbing his toe. He then sprayed his shit all over the mistletoe. He slithered and slunk with an odor most unpleasant. Around the whole room, he shit on every present. He stole all their liquor. The shit dripped down his leg. He even took the cores. He even took the kegs. Then he went to the fridge. He took the Pooh's feast. He took the Pooh pudding. He took the Pooh roast beef. He stuffed all the liquor up the chimney. And now, laughed the Dabbler, I will shit on the tree. The Dabbler pulled down his pants, preparing a mound. He was ready to explode, but then he heard a sound. He turned around fast and he saw little Carla Pooh, who was not more than 2. The Dabbler had been caught by this little Pooh daughter, who'd got out of bed to drink shitty water. She stared at the Dabbler and said, why, Santa, why? Why are you shitting on Christmas? Why? But you know the Dabbler is so gross and so sick. He thought of a lie and he thought it up real quick. Why, my sweet little Pooh, the fake Santa Claus lied. I will clean up this mess. So please do not cry. So don't wake your parents. Stay quiet, my dear. I will bring in the presents and then clean up in here. The fib fooled the child as he spit on her head. He said, go to sleep, but first shit the bed. And when Carla Poo went to bed, he pissed in her cup. He went to the chimney and stuffed all their shit up. Then he went up the chimney, the fat dabbling liar. The smell of his ass even started the fire. Then he did the same thing to the other Poo homes. He shit and pissed everywhere, on all the wood and all the stone. He got in his car, now tired and sore, spitting and laughing and drinking his cores. He made it back home and then pissed in the sink. So happy now that he has so much to drink. Boo-hoo to the Poos. The Dabbler was humming. They're finding out now all the shit they had coming. They're just waking up from the beds that they lie. They'll see all my shit and the Poos will all cry. That's a noise, grinned the Dabbler, that I simply must hear. So he paused, then the Dabbler picked some wax from his ear. But he did hear a sound as he opened a beer. It sounded like fun, it sounded like cheer. He stared down at Pooville, the Dabbler so surprised. He couldn't believe even with his own eyes. Every Poo down in Pooville, the Poos big and small, were happy and singing without any drinks at all. He hadn't ruined Christmas. Instead, they were happy. How could this be? It should have been crappy. He drank for 3 hours. His hemorrhoids were sore. Then the Dabbler thought of something he never thought before. Maybe he thought, when I shit in their houses, I should have shit on all the children and all the spouses. As it turns out, the Poos gave up drinking. And Poos love lots of shit. What was the Dabbler thinking? And the Dabbler, the jerk-off, the town masturbator, he ended up dying not many years later. And the Poos down in Pooville all then lived in blissfulness. And that is the story of when the Dabbler shit Christmas.